We had a very unfortunate decision in the Supreme Court concerning birthright. It was close, but a very, very unfortunate decision. So we're making adjustments because it's very unfair. This was done for a different reason. This was done right after the Civil War. This was for the babies of slaves. And what's happening now, people are building businesses around it. From wealthy people are building businesses around birthright citizenship. That's not the way it was supposed to work. It's a disgrace. They're buying their way in, and we're not going to let it happen. So, Steve, if you will, please.
Yes, so today the President signed these two executive orders here relating to birthright citizenship and birth tourism. As the President mentioned, the 14th Amendment was passed exclusively in the aftermath of the Civil War so to ensure that the children of slaves would be citizens. It had no other meaning and purpose outside of that. And that's been clear, obviously, since the day that it was passed. You can go back and you can read the congressional debates. This is not something that's even seriously contested by anybody. The President is using his authority as Commander-in-Chief to sign first an executive order using the new ruling the Supreme Court issued to expand the definitions of people who are ineligible for birthright citizenship. That includes, for example, alien enemies of the United States, members of foreign terrorist organizations, and large categories of people who lobby and act on behalf of foreign governments. And so with taking this action, it ensures that large numbers of people who wrongly would be getting birthright citizenship will no longer be eligible for those benefits. The second action that he's taking, which is especially historic, is for the first time ever in American history to ban birth tourism. So I want you to really let that sink in. This has been something that people have talked about not only for years, but for decades. The idea that people come here pretending to be a tourist, pretending to be a visitor, saying they want to go to Disneyland, or they want to go visit a monument or go to a national park, but the real reason they're here is to have a child, to make that child an automatic citizen, leave our country, and then have a U.S. citizen child. It gives them access under this broken system to welfare benefits, ultimately to the voting booth, and all the other rights and privileges that belong solely to Americans. So that practice of birth tourism is, as of the signing of this order, hereby banned.
Guys, the new Supreme Court order that Trump has just signed who are those eligible for birthright citizen. At first in America, what people do is tourists, visitors will come to America. Instead of enjoying the Disneyland and everything, they will come, give birth to a child, and the child is an American. So it will give them that right to go in and out of America. But guess what? Trump has said the people eligible for birthright citizenship are descendants of slaves. That is Black Americans. Those are descendants of slaves are the only people eligible for birthright citizenship. No other person, no visitor, no whatsoever. If you are coming to visit, you are coming to visit. That all those that are coming to the country and giving birth to white Americans so that they will have the privilege of entering America in and out, it is going to stop. Watch with me as we will see more reactions of people saying this, because I know those are people's way of coming to America. So people are definitely angry. Let us watch these reactions and see what people are saying. Please, if you are new to my channel and you love content like this and you want to continue seeing me, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, hit that, turn on your notification, give a like to this video, and tell me your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think about this new ruling? Is it right? Is it fair? Or is it unjust? Let's continue watching this clip.
All right, Trumpers, come and get me. Yeah, you can hear my truck running, but just get over that. So anyways, let's jump right into it. So Donald Trump now has signed 2 executive orders on birthright citizenship. Let's talk about this. So we all know that the Supreme Court shut it down when he was trying to get rid of that. Now he's come out with 2 executive orders stating that if your family is any part of any type of special religions or special governments over there, that if you are born here, then you can't be a citizen. Also, if you come from any type of terrorist organization or any like mobster gangster stuff, whatever he's trying to say, if you've come from any of that stuff like the mob and you're born over here, you can't be an American citizen. This is what these 2 executive orders are saying. Let me know whether you agree or disagree with this. It's one thing to be born over here if you're trying to raise a family, but it's another, maybe if you are coming over here and trying to be born and you are a part of a bad family or a secret organization, or maybe the mobsters, or maybe criminal activity over there, and you try to come over here and have a kid to make them a U.S. What's your thoughts on this? I haven't made up my mind on how I think about it, but this is your news for today. Leave me a comment below, share this to your friends, and let me know what you think about these two new executive orders.
Oh, he's back at it again. Trump tried to end birthright citizenship, and the Supreme Court told him no in a 6-3 vote. So today, he's back with another version of the same thing. And I would say that this is wild, but this is just him. The 14th Amendment says that people born here and subject to U.S. jurisdiction are citizens, point blank period. And the president can't rewrite that with an executive order. The Supreme Court already said so. So instead of accepting that, Trump has taken this big-ass pie of a policy and is slicing it into smaller pieces by issuing 2 new executive orders today. One targets birth tourism, and another narrows who counts as a citizen at birth. But here's the trickery. Here's the deceit. They're calling birth tourism fraud so that they can use the fraud exception to strip citizenship after the fact. But fraud is already prosecutable here. The problem is making a child's citizenship depend on what the government accuses their parents of doing. This seems bigger than immigration. This is about whether a president has to respect a constitutional boundary or whether he can just keep repackaging a rejected policy until one version of it slips past the courts. What happens when your rights still exist on paper, but the government makes them so confusing and expensive to prove that ordinary people can't actually rely on them?
Here we go again as Trump signed a pair of executive orders today aimed at birthright citizenship to try and end what he calls birth tourism. This comes as the deadline for Trump to ask the Supreme Court to reconsider its birthright citizenship decision lapsed. And now, instead of doing that, he's just decided to try some new executive orders. The executive orders Trump signed today seek to expand the categories of people who are ineligible for birthright citizenship and to ban tourists from coming to the U.S. just to give birth, to have babies have birthright citizenship. Little Stephen Miller said this executive order will make babies ineligible for birthright citizenship if their parents are alien enemies of the United States or the parents are members of foreign terrorist organizations, or if the parents simply lobby or act on the behalf of other foreign governments. So this is people that work in embassies of many different countries here in the United States. The second order was much more vague and just simply instructs the Departments of State and Homeland Security to not allow foreigners to come to the United States that are intending to come here just to give birth to a child and gain birthright citizenship. So that's the birth tourism part of this they're trying to end. And it just tells these agencies to take steps, implement new rules and general guidelines to prevent this from happening. Nothing very specific. It doesn't indicate how officials would screen people for this, which is a huge red flag here. And there's already federal regulation in place that bans foreign visas to tourists coming to the United States simply to give birth and have a child here to gain American citizenship. So this is all redundant anyways. Trump must really like losing in court because these orders are definitely going to be challenged more than likely and will definitely more than likely result in losses for him yet again. So guys, let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Like, share, spread the word, follow along for more, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
President Trump just made another huge mistake on birthright citizenship. He signed an executive order stating that no more birth tourism, meaning women who are pregnant, they get a visa to come and give birth to in the U.S. and their kids become a U.S. citizen. I sincerely believe that Trump loves America so much and he's fed up with immigration system and he wants to change it. But the problem is the way he's approaching the entire thing. Because an executive order can never ever replace the Constitution. The Constitution still says if a child was born in the U.S., he's automatically a U.S. citizen. So, yes, visas are going to be tough for those women who want to come and give birth to the U.S. It's going to be tough. But for those who can make it, they will still have that child born in the U.S. And their child will still become a U.S. citizen. Why? Because they will take it to court, take it to lawyers, and Unfortunately, the Constitution will prevail against the executive order. So, why I'm saying is a huge mistake. Trump loves America. Nobody can deny it. But the way he's going with it, and I cannot blame Trump. I can only blame his advisors. He got terrible, terrible, terrible advisors. Because the way he's supposed to do it is to push it in Congress and push it again harder to get some Democrats support him and let the law pass. But unfortunately, since he's been a president, he keeps doing executive order, memos, and when he leaves this office, he's no longer the president, everything is going to be trashed out, just like what happened to his first term. So what I'm trying to say here is not blaming Trump, but I'm blaming his advisors. Very terrible mistake.
And we're not going to let it happen. So, Steve, if you will, please.
Yes, so today the president signed these two executive orders here relating to birthright citizenship and birth tourism. As the president mentioned, the 14th Amendment was passed exclusively in the aftermath of the Civil War so to ensure that the children of slaves would be citizens. It had no other meaning and purpose outside of that. And that's been clear, obviously, since the day that it was passed. You can go back and you can read the congressional debates. This is not something that's even seriously contested by anybody. The president is using his authority as commander-in-chief to sign first an executive order using the new ruling the Supreme Court issued to expand the definitions of people who are ineligible for birthright citizenship. That includes, for example, alien enemies of the United States, members of foreign terrorist organizations, and large categories of people who lobby and act on behalf of foreign governments. And so with taking this action, it ensures that large numbers of people who wrongly would be getting birthright citizenship will no longer be eligible for those benefits. The second action that he's taking, which is especially historic, is for the first time ever in American history to ban birth tourism. So I want you to really let that sink in. This has been something that people have talked about not only for years, but for decades. The idea that people come here pretending to be a tourist, pretending to be a visitor, saying they want to go to Disneyland, they want to go visit a monument or go to a national park, but the real reason they're here is to have a child, to make that child an automatic citizen, leave our country, and then have a U.S. citizen child. It gives them access under this broken system to welfare benefits, ultimately to the voting booth, and all the other rights and privileges that belong solely to Americans. So that practice of birth tourism is, as of the signing of this order, hereby banned.
Here's the thing, you guys. I think it is absolutely hilarious, but at the same time, extremely concerning that there are so many Republican Party members out there and those who are a part of this whole MAGA movement that have now indicated that they are celebrating, they are ecstatic, they are happy about Donald Trump's signing of these two executive orders, thinking this is going to actually change anything, because newsflash, you guys, presidential executive orders don't make that the actual law of the land. Let me know your thoughts over in the comments, because people still need to remember when it comes down to the executive branches and everything, that is who determines what the law of the land is, and the Constitution is a part of that whole deal and everything. So because Donald Trump wants to act like his signature will change the Constitution and change what the Supreme Court ended up making its ruling on, is absolutely hilarious, you guys, truly, without a doubt. But then also, you guys, you got to think about it like this as well. What if the next president is a Democratic president and, you know, they decide to do the same thing, but they do the same thing for the Second Amendment? Because even the Second Amendment of the United States of America indicates that, you know, civilians here in the United States can own and possess firearms, but the firearms that they're talking about are muskets. They're not talking about modern day weapons. So what if the president signs an executive order indicating you can have your Second Amendment rights, but you can only have muskets. You can't have modern firearms, because even when the Second Amendment was written into the Constitution of the United States of America, it indicated nothing about modern day firearms. It never even indicated about the advancement of those firearms. It truly only mentions muskets. So, once more, you guys, let me know your thoughts.
Is not giving up. Donald Trump just signed 2 more executive orders in an attempt to limit birthright citizenship again. This would be his third attempt to limit birthright citizenship after his first attempt, when he signed an executive order in early of January 2025, failed in the Supreme Court in June. Why? Because it was embarrassingly unconstitutional. The first executive order attempts to limit birthright citizenship to children of alien enemies, which apparently includes anyone who's part of a terrorist organization. Think anti-Israel. And the second one eliminates citizenship to anyone born of parents committing birth tourism. But don't give them that much credit, because it's already a thing. You cannot get a visa and come to the United States for the sole purpose of giving birth. How dumb are you to take an existing law and write it down in form of an executive order and put your name on it? This is getting embarrassing at this point. I mean, if you already lost in an overwhelmingly conservative Supreme Court, what do you think is going to happen?
President Trump just signed not one, but 2 executive orders to try and limit birthright citizenship. But did the Supreme Court? Yes, the Supreme Court did rule just about a month ago that he couldn't do that by executive order. So today, Trump said he's trying again.
We had a very unfortunate decision in the Supreme Court concerning birthright. It was close, but a very, very unfortunate decision. So we're making adjustments because it's very unfair.
One of the executive orders Trump signed today is called Continuing to Protect the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship, and the other is called Ending Birth Tourism. So I'm going to explain each of these orders to you, and then we're going to talk about what's coming next. The first thing you need to understand before I get into that explanation is the last time the president did this, he was trying to blanketly deny U.S. citizenship to almost all babies born on U.S. soil whose parents were not here legally through an executive order. The Supreme Court said he couldn't do that. So this time, he's instead trying to expand existing laws that would deny U.S. citizenship to a whole bunch of babies whose foreign parents are here illegally and even legally. And while I explain all of that to you, you also need to keep in mind that the Supreme Court ruled just 37 days ago that the 14th Amendment of the Constitution is clear. Generally, babies born on U.S. soil are U.S. citizens, regardless of whether one or both of that child's parents are in this country illegally. But in the June ruling, the justices also acknowledged a previous Supreme Court precedent that found that there are some exceptions to the 14th Amendment and which babies get U.S. citizenship. For example, the Constitution says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. Well, previous Supreme Court rulings have determined that, for example, children who are born on U.S. soil to foreign diplomat parents cannot be American citizens because they are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. And neither are babies born to enemies during a hostile occupation. So what the president is attempting to do with the order today, called Continuing to Protect the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship, is expand the categories for people who are not eligible for U.S. citizenship and therefore not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. Does that make sense? So the order today says a newborn baby cannot be a U.S. citizen if that baby's parents are not American citizens and either A, one parent is part of a designated terrorist group, or B, one parent is a foreign diplomat or an employee of a foreign government, or C, the parents use a commercial birth tourism company to give birth in the U.S., or D, if the child is born in a U.S. territory where federal law does not grant citizenship. The order says if a baby is born on U.S. soil and that baby's parents meet any of those criteria, the federal government shall not issue documents recognizing U.S. citizenship for that baby or even accept any citizenship documents if they're issued by a state, local, or other government for that child. The president is further ordering the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, the Secretary of Homeland Security, and the Commissioner of Social Security to create regulations and provide guidance on how all of this is going to work within the next 30 days. Now let's talk about the other order, which directly bans birth tourism. Now, in case you didn't know, there is an industry where foreigners pay these companies who facilitate the travel to the United States of a woman who's about to give birth with the sole intention of that woman having her baby on U.S. soil so she can have a U.S. citizen baby. But is that really a problem in this country? The president says absolutely yes.
Is there a number that you
I'll tell you right now, hundreds of thousands, okay? Hundreds of thousands.
Now, the fact is, when he was arguing the birthright citizenship case in front of the Supreme Court, the Solicitor General, who was representing President Trump, could not give the justices an actual number of birth tourism babies. He was asked directly, and he said, no one knows for sure. Now, in 2020, the Center for Immigration Studies, an organization that advocates for low immigration, estimated that the possible number of birth tourism cases in the United States is around 20 to 26,000 a year. For some context, in 2020, there were 3.6 million babies born. But regardless of whether it's a problem or not, the president says the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Homeland Security shall come up with new rules, for example, to deny a tourist visa if the United States government suspects a woman is coming to this country to give birth, or revoke the visa of a woman who's already here and the United States government suspects she's about to give birth.
So if you're telling a consular officer you're here as a tourist, but your true purpose and intent is to go to a baby mill, give birth, and try to mint an American citizen while you're here, then you're committing a fraud against the American government. And by definition, that visa can and should and will be now denied.
Now, on this particular order, President Trump is using his authority under Section 215 of the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. That law specifically gives the president the power to restrict who can come in and out of the United States, especially if that person has given a false statement on a visa application. So the question is any of this legal? Well, the president's order specifically says that what he's doing today does not fall within the rule of birthright citizenship as announced by the Supreme Court. But of course, immigration advocates will absolutely be challenging these orders in courts. They will likely say that Trump is testing the boundaries again of the 14th Amendment, and probably will argue he's again even pushing the boundaries of the Supreme Court's recent ruling. And it's unclear how the Trump administration is going to justify that a pregnant woman coming here and giving birth is an enemy or part of a hostile invasion. But we'll have to wait and see how this all shakes out. In the end, it's very likely that this case will end up right back.
Breaking news, Nigerians. President Donald Trump has signed a new order denying birthright citizenship to children of Nigerians and other foreign nationals who travel to the U.S., to give birth. Now, this is part of his effort to tighten the immigration, rules in the United States. According to the news, they said that he knows that most of the people who travel to the United States under the guise of tourism actually come, to give birth. And right now he has renewed the campaign and has signed a new order, to actually curtail and stop this.
Guys, Trump says it's a disgrace that these people are buying their way in. People who come to the country and build their businesses. That is not how it's supposed to be. That this ruling was put in place at first after the war for the birthright. The slaves. Guys, what do you think about this? Tell me your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think this ruling is unjust, unfair, or is just okay? Because these are people's own way to build business. That they're building businesses in America. Now it has ended. What do you think about this? I'm waiting to hear your thoughts in the comment section. And please don't forget to hit that subscription button, turn on your notification, share this video, let everybody see, and tell me what is going on. And don't forget to leave a like to this video. I'll see you in my next episode. Bye.